You can check the claim. And that's the post. Still seeing up. There we go. You got it. You got it. Still seeing it. Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashir, Kakadas. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and the elect. All right. This is GMS, Dallas Camp. You know, we out here again, the younger bros. All right. And we out here to prophesy against this wicked kingdom and other kingdoms, you know, not only Babylon the Great, but throughout the earth. Okay. Because, you know, there's been a story about, you know, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are the true Hebrew Israelites, you know, are no more here on the earth. Okay. So we're going to get into the scriptures and see what the word says about, you know, the return of Yahweh Hashem Yahawashi, the deliverer of these peoples that scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. We also out here to preach the gospel to you, Jakes, okay? You know, preach the kingdom, all right? So we're going to get into prophecy, you know, dealing with all of the turmoil that's going on, especially with, you know, Esau Edom, you know, bringing his unrighteous decrees down on you, Jakes, okay? There's a spirit out here, you know, in Babylon the Great, where, you know, Esau trying to tap into that again, okay? And how is he trying to do that? You know, through his pseudoscience, the propaganda, okay? He want to control the narrative, but the prophets out here watching, you know, warning the sheep on what this devil's trying to do, okay? Go ahead.
Psalms 94 and I'll start at verse 18. The point is in verse 20.
Okay.
Says, when I said, my foot slippeth, thy mercy, O Yahweh Shah, held me up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Repeat it again.
When I said, my foot slippeth, thy mercy, O Lord, held me up.
Right. And, you know, this is David, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand.
Well, it doesn't specify, you know, who wrote this song, but,
okay.
You know.
Right. And, you know, Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi at the end of the day is going to have mercy upon Jake, you know, when we, although we had fallen short, but, you know, the elect is out here prophesying against this wicked kingdom. You know, we call ourselves the hopeful elect, all right? And the reason why we do that is because we believe in the scriptures that our deliverer is going to save us out of this condition, you know, being in captivity, you know, for the last time, because this would be the last captivity that we will ever be in as Israelites, okay? So go ahead.
Verse 19, in the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul.
Right, and that's going into these scriptures.
Yep.
All right, and this is what we out here to do for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who's listening, because you do have some of you brothers and sisters being edified, you know, throughout the scriptures, all right? And then you also have the wicked 2/3, but we concerned about edification, you know, for the elect, okay?
Yep.
Got anything else?
I'm going to read that in the NLT.
All right.
When doubts filled my mind, your comfort gave me renewed hope and cheer.
Right. In this wicked kingdom, that's all we have around us, man, is doubt, okay? We hearing bad news, our people being persecuted, you know, unaware. And when I say unaware, we don't hear about all of the evil things that's happening, but a lot get caught on camera now, you know, which is on that propaganda machine on these cell phones, okay? So Esau wickedness is daily being exposed on the way this man moves, okay? So this is where you so-called Negroes, Latinos have to operate in wisdom, okay?
Verse 20, shout, and here's the point. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?
One more time.
Psalms 94:20.
Mm-hmm.
Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?
Right. And this is you know, going into Esau Edom, you know. You know, this is what this man do with his mischief, his snares, when it comes to the prophets and to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. And so y'all need to separate yourself, from this devil. Okay, go ahead.
If I can add to what you're saying, according to that scripture, it's going into all his unrighteous decrees. All right, the laws that he makes. You have to understand, in 1776, when they talk about the Constitution, you were slaves.
Right.
Why would he make laws for you? So he made laws for himself against you. All right, and we're seeing in these last days what his pride is building up. He's not afraid to tell you what he plans on doing to you.
Right.
Right. All these things that were laid out, DEI, or you so-called Blacks, Latino, Native Indians, all these things that they gave you, he's not afraid to say, hey, we're taking it back, right? Make America great again is really make America, white again.
Right.
It has nothing to do with you as far as uplifting you. Yeah, you built up America through blood, sweat, right? Your deaths. But now he's letting you know that, hey, we don't need you, right? Because we are the number one consumers.
Right.
Right. But through his laws, his decrees, right, you are always oppressed.
Right.
Well, that's what a leech does. Because you read the book of Proverbs, the 30th chapter, it says there are three things that are never satisfied, and it speaks about the horse leech, how it says give, give. And a horse leech, when you look at a horse leech, it's a little small, little insect,
Right.
but it latches on to a big ass, like a horse. It latches on to half a ton, beast, and it sucks it dry. So after that horse leech, after a leech, zaps, or sucks that animal dry, it moves on to the next host. So Esau's pretty much just zapped our people of all strength, all hope, all courage, all faith. So now he's moving on to, he's getting, like you said, he's done with Jake, man. He sucked Jake dry. Okay, what scripture speak about it says how Shalom, how he's worn out the saints, how the saints are worn out. That's the horse leash just sucking Jake dry, man.
Right.
Okay, he's used you through it with his religion,
Right.
all his agendas, the happy rights,
Right.
okay, breaking up the households, okay, forwarding this degenerate culture throughout the earth.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, he's used Jake and made merchandise of Jake, man, and oppressed Jake off of that. So now, like you said, hey, he's on ultimately, man, this whole system, everybody's being sucked dry,
Right.
man.
And
You see?
he's also now trying to take away your so-called monuments from slavery and
Yeah.
captivity out of these museums now,
Yeah.
so you can forget your history. And that's what Esau Edom wants to do. And that's going back into what the priest is beautifully going into, with these unrighteous laws and decrees. He wants you to remember everything about his history and wants you to forget everything about your history. All right?
Here.
So, yeah.
Zechariah 11:5, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
Right. And that goes also into, Esau Edom trying to sweep everything under the rug with all the things he have done, okay, even in his passing right now today. All right. He don't want nothing to be exposed about him. That's why, you can get fired from your job, for not agreeing about what happened in the news. Although the code of ethics tell you you don't supposed to talk about politics and religion, they're not going to throw that in there and say, hey, you're supposed to be quiet about that stuff and do your goddamn job. But, Esau Edom, again, want to come down on you Jakes, for not agreeing with what's going on with his people. All right, go ahead.
There's a little more on here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Zechariah 11:5, whose possessors slay them. In the context, this is speaking about the wicked shepherds, that was just basically making merchandise of the Lord's flock, those false prophets, those false shepherds. But you can apply this very well unto Esau, man,
Right.
as he's in a domineering, position over the Lord's people, man. It says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
Right. And like the priest beautifully broke down, our people also, when it comes to, so-called Christian pastors, and then even that scripture hitting spot on, even in the courtroom, these devils do that. They can get away from murdering Jake,
Yep.
and then go take a vacation in Malibu for 2 weeks.
Hey, well,
and get paid for it.
So like your brother.
Go ahead.
Hey, but just like, okay, it was a Jake. His name was the Mariatron or Trey. Trey, I can't remember. Yeah, no, not Trayvon. That was another Jake.
Okay.
But it was just Jake just past weekend, I believe Saturday or Sunday, he got hung.
Oh, yeah, I
out
saw
there at Delta University, and also today, another Jake got hung. Man, I saw that on my way up here to the camp. It was in Mississippi as well, you know. But they considered it foul play, like you said.
Right.
He saw that, man. Come on, bro. We know who
Yeah.
the fuck is behind this, man.
Yeah. You
see?
don't know no Jake's going around hanging Jakes.
Right. And
And-
Jake ain't about to hang himself.
Right. And they're not gonna, get send the FBI out and investigate and try to figure out. They don't care about Jake. They're not gonna throw that in the news and take that to your job and say, hey, what do y'all think about that?
Right.
And then fire the Edomites who don't care about it. So this is war on you, Jakes. Okay. Anything else you got?
Nah, that was it.
This is Psalms 20:7. And it reads, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord, our power. Because, as a so-called black man, Latino, Native Indians, you've always been oppressed through blood and death, right? And you want to cry, you want to retaliate, but you feel powerless.
Right.
What do? You just give up? No, you have a power, and your power has a name. And through faith, you have to know that someone's going to come and revenge you, because you can't revenge yourself. You're powerless. You see?
You need a kinsman redeemer.
That's what we're about to get into. Go ahead.
Hosea 13:9. O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thine help.
Go one more time.
Hosea 13:9.
Uh-huh.
O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thine help.
Right. And our people, we love to, put our hope and our faith in our oppressor. All right. And this is what's holding our people down, because our oppressor, which is your enemy, he's going to tell you opposite. Because, spiritual demon Satan, he's in opposite. Well, he's not in opposition of the Most High, but Esau Edom is opposed to, what the Most High has to say. So when you're in these churches, they tell you, it's okay if you don't have to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. When we're not saying they there to, to save you, but the whole point is that, the things that our people are going through in our communities, our daily life, we're trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with us. But it's one simple thing. We don't want to be obedient to our power. All right? Go ahead, read that one more time.
Okay, let me go back. It's Hosea. Okay.
Yeah.
Hosea chapter 13 and verse 9
Uh-huh.
says, O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself,
Right.
but in me is thine help.
Right. And no matter, how much, the prophets come out here and, prophesy against this wicked kingdom and let you Israelites who don't have a seat, especially when they come to EU and NATO, you don't have a Israelite seat or a black seat or a Mexican seat. You don't hear nothing like that, and they for your people, man. Okay, all of these nations that have seats over there, they have military, someone who can come and and say them. It's the reason why they have POWs, prisoners of war. When what was that? That went over there in 13 hours with the Benghazi. America sent their troops over there to go get their people. Okay, we don't have no one to do that for the Israelites. Okay, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but you continue to put your hope in this society, which is in Esau Edom's kingdom. Okay, everything he asks you to do, you believe in it. We prophesy and bring out the truth in the scriptures and tell you that the chariots are the UFOs. You'll doubt that, and then this man can tell you a fat man coming down the chimney is gonna eat some cookies and milk,
Right.
and give you some presents.
Right.
And our people believe that. All right. So this is what the scripture's saying. Y'all put y'all hope into these goddamn devils. All right. And then here it is when they come to your power, who's trying to deliver you from this devil, who's gonna feed you these poisons. All right. Give you these tainted waters to drink. Give you that jab. All right. They have your people, falling damn near every year. All right. But this is the stiff-necked spirit of our people, the wicked 2/3 that refuse to repent.
That's right here.
Go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 4 and 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Right. And this is again, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans putting y'all hope in America just because they got, one of the top militaries. You don't feel like nobody can harm them, and come over here and touch your people.
You get a
and
good job.
right? You get a good job.
Benefits, 401k.
Our people can be wizards in the streets.
Yep.
Y'all can prostitute. Live your life the way you want to live it. In wickedness and damnation. You're okay with that. You're okay with Lil Pookie and Ray Ray getting shot. It's all right, long as you get to continue to do your wickedness. But as soon as Esau Edom do something to you, one of your people, you ready to raise hell and say, hey, that's unrighteous. Okay? What make you think this man is gonna be giving you equal rights, man? You haven't figured it out, Jake. Oh yeah?
Jeremiah 2:19, thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backsliding shall reprove thee. Know therefore, and see that it is an evil thing and bitter, that thou hast forsaken Yahawah thy power, and that my fear is not in thee, saith YAHAWASHI.
Right, and that brings me to that precept in 2nd Esdras 9:12 that our people is not going to figure nothing out until there's death by pain. Y'all got to figure things out the hard way, like getting shot, losing your job, and not figuring out what you're going to do because you're putting your hope in this devil. All right, this is why we have to have faith in our power in Yahawashi. Okay, through his death, burial, and resurrection, he's going to deliver us out of this mess. I know every brother up here, he don't want to have to get up, for the rest of his life and then his kids' life, that, they're going to be poisoned and got to get up 4 or 5 in the morning and work his ass out just to, not even enjoy yourself in this wicked kingdom.
Live paycheck to paycheck.
Right. That's not living, man. Living is when you in rulership, okay?
With new bodies.
Right. Immortal, forever, okay?
This is Proverbs 1:22. And it reads, how long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge.
Right. How long, Jake?
Yeah.
Okay. How long, Jake? How long you gonna love simplicity? Meaning that you just gonna be simple-minded all the time, okay? You're gonna be persuaded by any devil. And really, that's through your love, of this world, man. Your love and cares of this world. All right? Jake want to have everything this devil have, If this devil get a high expensive car, Jake want to, make that his motive to get the bag, get the car, and live with this devil. When this devil, when your kids can't even come out and play, man, And what was that with that one little kid who was playing at the park? He had a water gun or something, and then a cop came and shot him. He was like 5 years old or something.
Yeah.
And it was an Edomite person that called the cops on him, and they knew that was a kid, man. But these are the things that Jake, wants to continue in, okay? And this is what happened when you trust in your enemy, all right?
Got it.
Says simplicity.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Right.
Now, this for that word simple in the Hebrew, Strong's H 6612 says pathah, says simplicity, naivety. It says foolish, open-minded.
Right.
You see, so when scripture speaks about being simple-minded, it's going into you being open-minded. You see? See, and our people that are open-minded towards the wrong things and closed-minded towards the right things.
Right.
See, as you should be open-minded with this truth, man.
Right.
Okay, accepting YAHAWASHI. Okay, and closed-minded, okay, being hard-hearted against and towards his world, man.
Right.
See, and also the similar word is seductible or seducible. You see? And that makes me think about that in Revelations 14,
Right.
as it likens the elect, the 144,000, as chaste virgins. As chaste virgins. You see, because they're not receiving these other philosophies.
Right.
Esau's pseudoscience. His standard and morality and beacon and standard of life, man.
Right.
You see, being likened to an adulterous woman.
Right.
You've got your legs open, for every quiver, for every arrow, man.
Right.
And see, but the elect, they're gonna be closed-minded toward this world, man.
And in that definition, that word was naivete, right? Naivete. The root word of that is naive. And it says being naive, and synonyms being ignorant, right? Just being stupid at the end of the day, right? Because you believe in Christianity and you don't question anything.
Right.
But you have the man of the Lord on the highways and byways here willing to answer every question that you have about these scriptures. But when you go to your pastor, he said, I'll get with you tomorrow on that. All right, he got to meditate on that and give you whatever answer that comes up from his ass.
And Jake don't even ask no questions in the
Right.
church. He just accept it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, God just told me if you plant a seed at 7,077 cents, you're gonna get your break. Nigga, you should be asking questions, man.
Right.
You see, the Lord hates a simple ass nigga. Hey,
Right.
like that one nigga that that football player that just married that
That
what's his name? Travis.
Travis.
Yeah, Travis Hunter.
Right.
The Lord hates niggas like that, bro.
Right.
Just cheesing
Cheesing
every
hard.
goddamn where. Just simple as fuck, man.
Right. And
The Lord don't like that.
and that's what the Edomites do, like, you know.
Yeah, they love niggas like
yeah,
that, man.
Yeah.
Niggas.
Go ahead. Got something else?
Oh, that was just
At 63. You got something else?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Proverbs 14 and 15. I'll start at verse 14.
Mhm.
It says, "The backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways,
Mm-hmm.
and a good man shall be satisfied from himself."
Right. And this is using wisdom, okay? A backslider gonna do what he wants to do and not what our power wants, okay? And anytime you look at our power call us children. Anytime you look at your children, man, you want the best for them, okay? You don't want the worst for them. So even though, sometimes as a kid growing up, there were some things you wanted, but you didn't see the dangers of them. But your parent did. All right. And it's likewise with our power. All right. He loves his people, but our people are hard-headed. All right. And this is why, he's only gonna come and deliver the elect, all right, through that first resurrection. Go ahead.
Proverbs 14 and 15. The simple, there's that word again,
Mm-hmm.
naive, open-minded, foolish, stupid. The simple believeth every word, and the prudent man looketh well to his going.
Right. And you know what else? Remind me of that. Another precept that made me think about that. How our people, we'll see like somebody and that's rich and got money, and you'll believe them. But then again, you see someone that look like you, that's in the lower stature, you think he don't have no wisdom. All right. And this is what it is with Esau Edom. This man can just wake up and tell you anything, you're gonna believe it. You know why? Because you feel like, this is where that Jesus Christo come in, Caesar Borgia, all right, because that's what you see when this man speak. When he tell you something, you're like, oh shit, this might be my blessing. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Sirach 13 and 23. When a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue.
Right. And that's the being conformed to this world. That's why YAHAWASHI say, love not the world, because this is what you have starting with the elites, the bankers family. Anybody that got that bag, that money, that's what, just like our people sell out, man. When Kevin Hart, remember he said, oh, I never sell out and put on a dress to come famous. Well, you can pull them up on the internet right now with dresses on, man. And that's what this brother, the priest, is beautifully going into. All right. And this is how the mindset of our people. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you Latinos, y'all not being forgotten as well. Because you got the women, they'll go in there and trust Esau to heart, man. They had they one of them until Esau let them know who they are. They think that because they got these degrees now, that everything is okay. They love America now.
Shave their beard.
They
go to the same church as them.
Yeah.
Because the niggas say, oh yeah, I don't go to black, I go to a white church.
Yeah.
They take pride in that shit, bro.
And
It's a big white church.
like it's like it's helping them.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they still taking your funds. Yeah. But let something happen, in your life, man, where you need some help from these churches. They're gonna tell you, brother, we're gonna have faith in you. We're gonna pray for you.
Like Joel Osteen did when that hurricane came through.
They're gonna tell you to bring it in and bless the house, and while you out here struggling, all right. But our people, again, that's from being simple-minded, all right. Letting these devils tell you anything you want to hear.
It's a moral here.
Right.
Sirach 13 and 23.
Right.
When a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. It says, they extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this?
Right. And that's the prophets, okay? And this is how y'all view Yahawah Shem Yahawashai, man, his people, okay? And the prophets always was looked down upon, but that's the wisdom that Yahawashi uses, when it comes to edification and his elect. All right, because they understand, what the real prize is. Okay, we trying to get immortality. All right, then this is what we are looking for, man. We looking for that grand prize. Damn this shit here, man. Damn 10 more years of a saving. Anyway, speaking about that, that's what's gonna. I was listening to an Edomite woman talk about how Esau, and this is gonna, forward that this war that's World War III that's coming up. It just reminded me of that of the wickedness that this man doing. How people, just not even listening to what we're saying. That how he's trying to use the cryptocurrency to where the $1 trillion that we in debt in. This is gonna offset that, where they're gonna value the crypto differently, and we know that's gonna piss these other nations off, man.
A great reset.
Right, but the way he's gonna do it, he's trying to do it right. He don't have to pay that back. And I was like, damn, that's messed up, But our people want to trust a demon like this, man. So guess our people gonna be a part of that. I was talking to my mom about that, like, hey, Social Security gonna be gone, our 401k gonna be gone. So people that's putting their hope in Babylon the Great, man, hey, y'all gonna be in for a rude awakening, as these prophecies, continue to come forth. You see? Got something?
Yes. Look at it. Sirach 13:23.
Right.
When a rich man speaketh, every man holding his tongue, and look what he saith.
Right.
Says they extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this?
Right.
And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him.
Right. And this is what's happening right now amongst our people. With Jake, we talking about the ones that's in the truth, man. Okay? Jake won't these prophecies not to come to pass. All right? Jake just hoping that, we can build here and, grow crops and have our own kingdom here, and thinking that's how, our power is going to return and deliver us. But that's not going to happen in that form of fashion. That's not what the prophecy says, And these leaders should be out here prophesying, and watching like Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. All right? Got anything?
That's it on that.
Okay.
This is Sirach 13:8. And it reads, beware that thou be not deceived and brought down in thy jollity. If thou be invited of a mighty man, withdraw thyself, and so much the more will he invite thee. You see? Because when you have Jake, they want to emulate the white man, right? They want to go to his church. And Jake gradually starts to turn into the so-called white man, or turn into a heathen, if you will.
Right.
Right? And start to shun his own people. He think he made it now, George Jefferson.
Right.
You see? But they don't know that this man doesn't have your best interests at heart, man. He laughing at you behind closed doors, saying this nigga think he one of us.
Right.
We're gonna show him, right?
Right.
The next one right here says, affect, this is Sirach 13:11. Affect not to be made equal unto him in talk. Start sounding like the white man.
Right.
Start lying.
So-called white man.
So-called white man. Right. You start to take on his characteristics. Right. It says, affect not to be made equal unto him in talk, and believe not his many words, for with much communication will he tempt thee, and smiling upon thee, he will get out thy secrets.
Right. And that goes into that Sirach chapter 12, never trust thine enemy. 12 and 10, roughly paraphrasing. Okay. And this is what you were speaking about about these churches. And if you ever notice, you talk to a Christian or someone who never heard about the Hebrew Israelites, or even if they have, the first thing they say is like, where's y'all church? Because they want to see what your building look like. They want to see the glamour in there. Do y'all got the nice Christmas trees and lights and the JBL speakers? That's what Jake want to see. What type of songs y'all sing? And this is why, Jake continue to follow after the heathen, man. They want to be like the heathen. Like you were saying, Joel Osteen get up there and pump them up with that power speech, and how our power want to bless them, but he's talking about another Jesus, because we don't condone this Jesus here. We have YAHAWASHI. That's who our power is. He delivers. All right, he saves. So, and this is the mindset our people in. They want to trust. Again, somebody in here can drive up in a Lambo, and every brother that that's not of the elect, they'll believe anything he got to say.
Right.
Just because he got a Lamborghini. All right. And these are the distractions and the lust of our people, man, because our people would rather be in his position than to be having trying to chase immortality. All right, go ahead.
It's Acts chapter 2,
Right.
verse 45. I'm gonna start at verse start right here, verse 42. The points in verse 46, because you made mention about how the first thing people say when they come up to us, is where's your church at?
Right.
But that goes to show that they don't really read the scriptures.
Right.
Now we did meet in synagogues and whatnot, but in the during the time of the Acts of the Apostles, they were doing exactly what we do. Okay,
Right.
we link up at each other's homes and do sit downs, break bread, eat some chicken, go over the
Right.
scriptures. All right, so this Acts chapter 2 and 42. It says, and they continue, talking about the believers, talking about the apostles, they continue steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship and in breaking of bread and in prayers. And fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. And all that believed were together and had all things common, and sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men, and every man had, so like it as every man had need, and here's the point, and they continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house,
Right.
did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart.
Right. And back at the pre-stuff, and this is how our people are. Okay, we don't our people not coming in the right doctrine, the doctrine of YAHAWASHI. Okay, that they YAHAWASHI, the leaders that he set up, that has the 100% truth, and we do believe we have this at Great Millstone. Okay, starting with our apostles, bishops, and elders on down. All right, that we preach the correct doctrine. All right, it never changes. The breakdowns are the same. Okay. We got here at Great Millstone, you're gonna be learning, growing, doing the work. All right. These are the commands of our leaders. All right. And what the apostles been doing before, okay, in the past, and it's still going on now. All right. You got anything else?
Matt, you got something?
I had something.
Okay.
Just to add to what you were saying, man,
Go ahead.
because that's what the Christians come and ask you. Oh, so where's your church at? Like they want to come to your church, right? This is a stumbling block for them, man. They don't understand what's going on here, which shows you that they don't read the scriptures,
Right.
right? 2 Timothy 4:1 tells you what? Preach the gospel. You see, this is a precept I got for you. This is Acts 17 and 24. It says, the Most High that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands.
Con. And what was that again?
Acts 17:24.
Okay.
Chapter 7. Should be chapter 7, right?
That
Oh,
was
17? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lock it. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
That's what I thought she was talking about.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, what? All right. Go to Acts 7 and 38. But the one you talking about is in Acts 7 and 44.
Acts 7:48.
Yeah, 7 and 38.
30.
Because you was talking about the church, and it goes exactly what you're talking about.
Huh.
Go ahead and read that one.
This is Acts 7 and 38.
Uh-huh.
This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in Mount Sinai. And without
Yeah. No, it's this one first. No. You're right. No. We're gonna get that one next.
Okay.
But it falls in line with what he was saying, because he said, Christians come up here and say, hey, where's y'all church?
Right.
But what we just read, that the temple is not built with hands.
Right.
Okay, but we're gonna read what the church is, and that's what you was reading in 738.
this is Acts 7 and 38. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in Mount Sinai.
Right. And we know that was Moses, and who was in the wilderness? It was the Israelites. So they talking about it's a people. All right. So the church is not a building, and it's going to prove that when you go down to Acts 7 and 44.
I'll finish this up.
Yeah, go ahead.
And with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us.
Right, which are the scriptures, these laws, statutes, and commandments. This wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right.
Acts 7 and 48 says, howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as said the prophet.
Right. And that goes to show you that, he's not dealing with these pastors and these Christians in these churches. All right. He's dealing with the prophets. All right. The prophets are going to be doing what he commanded out there on the highways and byways, prophesying, doing the videos, Today we have the technology. Yeah, we in the last in our last captivity in Babylon the Great. All right. So this is what will be taking place when you considering and concerning the church. You got something? You
Yeah, I
wanna
had
add
a
to it?
precept. Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I got one after.
All right, go ahead.
this is First Kings, and this is right as soon as
Okay.
David. No, this is King Solomon. Excuse me. This is King Solomon when he started the construction of the first temple.
Okay.
Right. This is First Kings chapter 8, verse 27. Yeah, I'll read verse 27. It says, but will the Most High indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, the heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have built? Yet have thou respect unto the prayer of thy servant and to his supplication, O my power, to hearken unto the cry, to hearken unto the cry and to the prayer which thy servant prayed before thee today. Right? So ultimately, this is showing you that even the heaven and the heaven of heavens, which is what? You know, the heaven of heavens is the everything above the sky, right?
Right.
Spiritual realm included. It says cannot contain it.
Right.
And then when you read it in First Chronicles, it says it similarly, basically saying it says save only to give sacrifices to the Lord. That was the main reason why ultimately the temple was built.
Right.
You know, even back in the wilderness, you had the Ark of the Covenant, right?
Right.
The Ark of the Covenant, and we would have the what's it called? Not the temple, obviously, but the not the veil. Well, obviously had all that, but the mobile version of the temple,
Tabernacle.
the tabernacle. That's right. Yeah, which is basically, you know,
Right.
I mean, we have illustrations of it, but
Right.
you know, the tabernacle and the temple, they basically represented the same thing. You know,
Right.
The place where you offer sacrifices.
Right. Done. As the priest beautifully brought out, because now the temple the temples up here that's out there prophesying the word, on the highways and byways, and you can get that in what's that? 1 Corinthians, the third chapter, that you are the temple of the Most High. All right, go ahead.
Ezekiel 11 and 16. Therefore say, thus saith YAHAWASHI, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come.
Right, because we are the temple. All right, so once your spirit is quickened, all right, we're gonna be used, and when you are studying, all right, and the Most High, YAHAWASHI is dealing with you, okay, you're gonna be used as a vessel to bring this word out. We're nothing but the voices of the Most High, okay. That's why you always hear the prophets like Ezekiel, Esdras, okay. They were always saying prophesy, okay. The Lord always told them to prophesy. So this is the command that the men of the Lord are told to do. All right. Whether you're uploading videos, but mostly and mainly you're supposed to still come out here on the highways and byways. All right, because this is where your people are. All right.
Yeah, I got that for you.
Okay.
Matthew 22. I'll start from the top. Matthew 22 and verse 1. And Yahawashi answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding.
Right.
And they would not come. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the marriage.
Read it one more time.
Yeah.
Because he told two different. Read it one more time.
Yeah, verse 4.
I don't know if he's getting to the point.
Oh, okay, kind. Yeah, I'll get to the point for you.
But that's what
I'll just keep reading verse 5.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, it says, but they made light, verse 5, but they made light of it, and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. I'm gonna skip down here. I mean, really. Hey, you want to break it down?
I mean, you go ahead.
Okay, all right. It says, and ultimately what this going into is the structure of the ministry that you see. You know, how ultimately those servants are going to the prophets, man. Okay, the Lord sent up his prophets day in and day out. Okay, but Jake making light of the prophets like they've always done. Okay, and it's going to get to a point to where, okay, the Most High, okay, is going to send forth his son. He's going to judge those that made light of this calling, of the bidding of the marriage, man, and reward those that took heed, as we're about to continue to read.
That's what I.
Verse 6, and the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Then said he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy.
Right.
Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as you shall find, bid to the marriage.
Right.
So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good.
Right.
And the wedding was furnished with guests.
Okay.
And
All right.
yep.
And as a priest beautifully broke down, this is going into likewise of what's happening right now. You know, the all of Israel having the chance, you know, to hear what our power, what the master is telling us to do, but only the elect, the prophets, are gonna be obedient. Okay, that's gonna go ahead. That's gonna take heed to these scriptures. All right, and this is what's happening right now while we out here prophesying and on the highways and byways, and hopefully bringing our edification to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that you repent so you can be fitted to this marriage that the priest was future bringing out. Okay, because that's going to be destruction that's going to be taking place, and if you're not if you don't take heed and repent and be ye converted, all right, you're going to get destroyed, as the priest beautifully brought out with the master. Got anything else?
I got one for you.
Okay.
2 Peter chapter 1 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
It says, wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure.
Right. And that's when you're quickened and coming into this truth, man, you have to have to seek the Lord, man. And it starts with fearing the Lord. Okay. The scripture says, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of those things hoped for. All right. And the only way that's going to take place, man, is what the priest is beautifully bringing out. How you going to have get wisdom and knowledge? It's for seeking him. Okay. You're going to have to seek the Lord. All right. You're going to have to start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability, according to Judges 5 and 11. All right. You're going to have to start coming out on the highways and byways, doing the work. Okay. Putting up lessons. All right. All of these things is moving in that direction of diligent seeking him. Okay. And that's the way you're going to get the understanding. You're not going to get it just sitting back, Jake, eating potato chips, you know, having a good time, watching the game, calling your home girl, catch a video or two of Hebrew Israelite entertainment, okay, rap battles. That's not what's going to get you in the kingdom. All right. Got anything else?
Second is some more here. 2
Right.
Peter 1 and 10.
Mhm.
Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, and those things is speaking about, okay, are those particular traits, characteristics, and virtues and attributes that it was speaking about what the elect will be putting on. You
Right.
know, putting on more knowledge, okay,
Mhm.
diligence, faith, temperance, patience, brotherly kindness, charity.
Mhm.
All right, so it says, for if you do these things, and like our elders here at Great Millstone, Dallas, they, you know, through the spirit coined a phrase. This is called the recipe for success, man.
Right.
You know? So it says, for if you do these things, you shall never fall.
Right. And our apostles and elders are living examples as well. You know, they don't just talk about it. We do what they're doing. They still out here doing what they were doing, you know, 40, 30, 40 some years ago, man. All right. So, you know, and those are good examples from leaders. All right. Because you have some leaders today, you don't even see them out on the highways and byways. All right. Only until some, you know, some wickedness or something happen, and then they'll come out. All right. Or if they did rebuke.
Yeah, George Floyd got his knee on his got the
Right.
cop's knee on his now
Yeah.
you know, ISUPK out there bringing out Revelation 13 and 10 all
Yeah.
day. That same verse for 2 hours straight. But after that, after the wave dies down, they nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
You know?
What's that other one, Chief Ephraim? We're gonna pull up on the Palestinians. You know, anytime it's some, to deal with something carnal, that's when these leaders will come out. But they won't come out and do what the word says. Okay.
That's agent activity.
Right.
That's how agents move, man.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It says Jeremiah 5:1. Jeremiah 5:1. It says, "Run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now and know, and seek in the broad places thereof, if ye can find a man, if there be any that execute a judgment, that seeketh the truth, I will pardon him."
Right. And this is, what we're doing out here on these highways and byways now. Okay. We out here, although we here in the city of Dallas, but we got camps all over the United States, man. Okay. So that's us out running to and fro, and we also know that the internet is doing the heavy lifting, okay? Because you can just pull it up on YouTube, so you don't have an excuse and say, "Well, hey, I didn't know." Everybody know about the Hebrew Israelites. It's not a thing. That was a point of time where it was almost like a secret, and it was like, "Oh man, they speaking about the Hebrew Israelites." But now, it's at a point to where they coming against the Hebrew Israelites and hating them, okay, mocking them, making videos, all of those things, okay.
If I can answer what you're saying, because it says,
Go ahead.
it says, in the broad places thereof, if you can find a man that there be any that executed judgment and seeketh the truth, I will pardon him.
Mhm.
Well, what's the truth today? You have that saying that says what? See no evil, speak no evil, hear
Right.
no evil. Well, this place says, see no good,
Right.
speak no good,
Right.
right? Hear no good. But that's what you hear from the scriptures, man.
Right.
The truth is being pushed through the scriptures, man.
Right.
Because that's the only way you can truly execute good judgment. Because there's judgment, but is it good judgment? Good judgment is only through the scriptures. What? Through the law, statutes, commandments, and through the power and the spirit of YAHAWASHI, right? And that seek the truth. Because you have these other camps, you have Christian churches, they think they have the truth, right? But it says in John, 4:22, let the Most High seeketh those that's going to worship him in spirit and in truth. And no one's doing that, man, but the men of the Lord. Great millstones to be exact. Got it.
Kind of, we're gonna switch gears here in a little bit, basically going into the day of the Lord. How majority of our people are gonna get caught like a thief in the night because majority of Jake isn't watching out for the prophecy. They're not paying attention. So when Yahawashi, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ, comes back, they're not gonna expect it because they're expecting who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ, which is real name in the ancient Paleo Hebrew is Yahawashi. They're not expecting him to come back with destruction, with judgment upon the wicked of our people and then upon these heathens. They're expecting Yahawashi to come back with hugs and lollipops, and that's not going to be the case. He's coming back with judgment. He's coming back with destruction and the sword to put to death the wicked of our people and to bring these heathens down.
Isaiah 66:16. Somebody get that?
Got Amos 5:18. God, this is Amos chapter 5 and verse 18. It says, "Woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh. To what end is it for you? The day of Yahweh is darkness and not light."
Yeah, and in the day of the Lord, when Yahawashi is going to make his return on that fathership, it's not going to be all sunshines and rainbows. Because a lot of our people, they love to claim that they want who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ to hurry up and come back. But they don't really know what he's coming back to do. They don't really know that he's coming to put the wicked of our people refuse to repent and turn back to Yahweh shot to death. So when he comes back, it's going to be a day of destruction, a day of gloominess, a day of darkness.
I was gonna wait.
But for the wicked of our people, for the elect, that's going to be relieved because we know that at that time our salvation is going to draw nigh. Because at that time and period, when Yahawashi returns in the midst of World War III, in the midst of the MOTB being pushed out throughout the four corners of the earth, we know that's when the devil, who everybody knows as the so-called white man, which is his real biblical identity is Esau, Edom, that's when his kingdom is going to be brought down. But only the elect are looking forward towards the day of the Lord. The rest of our people, they're not really looking forward towards the day of the Lord. They want to really continue to do their day-to-day lives, their folly, work their 9 to 5s. Because if they really knew what Yahawashi is coming back to do, that they wouldn't want who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ to come back. They really wouldn't want his return. You can verse 19. Or that's
Yeah, I do. I got the scripture that you just quoted. This is Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 14. Yeah, verse 14, it says, the great day of Yahweh is near. It is near and hasteneth greatly. Even the voice of the day of Yahweh, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness.
And is that describing a day of sunshine and rainbows that who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ, which is wrong name is YAHAWASHI, is coming back to accept everybody as they are? No, he's coming back to put the wicked of our people to death. He's coming to bring the heathen down from their rulership position, starting with Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man down. So ultimately, YAHAWASHI's return is knocking at the door. The majority of our people aren't watching out for that. That's why it's going to hit him like a thief in the night. Just like in the movie that The Day of Independence, when that huge UFO, spawned out of nowhere. That's how it's going to be. And our people are going to be in awe. They're going to be amazed when it's a so-called black man, popping out of it. They're going to be like, oh, shit, I thought it was a white pale, so-called white person with white stringy hair. They're going to be in awe and in amazement when they see YAHAWASHI's return.
I got a precept real quick because you've been mentioning it, but I'm gonna pull it out. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, have you need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night.
And the elect, they're not in darkness, being oblivious to what's going on. But the rest of our people, they're in darkness and gross darkness. They don't know what's going on. They're in that spirit of being asleep. But the elect, we know what times we're in. We know that our salvation is drawing nigh, and also the destruction of America and the downfall of Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man.
Now, I'm gonna keep reading because it goes into what you exactly said. This is verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
And that's how it's going to hit most of our people, like a thief in the night. Because right now, our people, they're still chilling, even though you have the economy collapsing, you have inflation constantly going up. Our people are still chilling. Visuals shall be so cheap upon earth that they should think themselves to be in a good case. So majority of our people, they're still, even though their pockets are hurting, they're still chilling. They're still in that peace of safety, that eating and drinking and marrying spirit, because nothing has popped off yet. But when the economy collapses, when all hell breaks loose, when Jacob's trouble really kicks off, then our people are going to be like, oh, shit. I should have took heed to the words of the Heavenly Father, but it's going to be too late.
And even like you're saying it, because like you said, like travail upon a woman. When a woman has a child, she doesn't know exactly when her water's going to break. She could be simply in the house. She could be at work. And all of a sudden her water breaks, and that's the baby being born. And that's representation of the mindset of Jake, because they're not looking forward to the day the Lord returning. So when the Lord pops up, when all this hell starts ramping at a high rate, they're going to, oh shit, it's going to catch them off guard because they've been so distracted by all this folly and by the lust of their flesh. And not seeking after a servant submitting unto YAHAWASHI, as the elect is doing. The elect is in a note, as this chapter is going to go into. So I got verse 4 for it says, but ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should not overtake you as a thief.
Okay.
It says, ye are all the children of the light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness.
And the elect aren't going to be taken by Satan's devices, Esau, Edom's devices. Like majority of our people are being taken by these things going on in the world. From the character Charlie Kirk being assassinated, all this commotion against Esau versus Jacob, blacks versus whites, all the different racial tensions that's happening. Our people are getting taken by these things, not knowing it is the self-proclaimed white man doing all these things to distract Jake to what's really going on. Him implementing this new digital currency system. So our people are being taken by these things, by these distractions, by these racial tensions,
by Esau hating on on Jake. So our people are distracted as all hell, not knowing what's going on. But the elect, we're not being taken by Satan devices, like it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. We know that these are all psyops to distract Jake from what's really going on. Yeah. Because they don't know that the Esau Edom's about to collapse this system, and he's about to bring that new digital currency system in.
I got to add to what you're saying real quick because your president, Donald J. Trump, always wants to keep you in that emotional state of mind, right? If he's not doing something to so-called blacks, he's doing something to the so-called Latinos, right? He wants to always make you unstable. You're always looking for what he's going to say next because he's a character, right? And all those are distractions from, one, what they're really doing in a backdrop, but also distracting you from locking in with your power, man.
I was gonna add that's a beautiful point because the main thing, Jake always talk about nation building and things like that, but they don't understand that the beginning of the nation being built is coming back to the obedience of the scriptures. They don't look at because if you go tell a nigga right now, hey, like that means you see it in their spirit, man. They're sitting there like, okay, you got this Charlie Kirk, these psyops, all these particular distractions that Esau has and grips on their mind. They're not gonna look at this truth as a way to combat that. They're gonna be like, so what can that do to combat what's going on? Why can't Israelites? Well, they say black people, which are not black, but why can't black people come together? Why can't? Well, it's initially because we're under the curses, and we're the Lord had it set up to where we're going to come back to the obedience of the scriptures. But we know at the end of the day, the Lord didn't design them to receive understanding. That's why they can never get it, no matter what. So I'm gonna read this for you real quick. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, because we had mentioned how Esau is doing all these particular things, which we noticed the Lord pretty much keeping Jake in that dead state of mind, using Esau to do it though. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Verse 3, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Hamashiach Yahawashi, who is the image of the power, shall shine unto them.
And that's majority of our people. The gospel wasn't given on to majority of our people. That's why they're being taken by all these distractions, all these different psyops from Esau, Edom, because YAHAWASHI didn't allow them to come to the light. So they're going to be taken by all these different things that Esau Edom is spewing out so he could distract you from what you're really supposed to do, which is repent to YAHAWASHI. So ultimately you're going to be blinded by the God of this world, Satan, and his physical counterpart, the so-called white man, which is really Esau Edom. So majority of Jake is not going to get it. They're going to get caught like a thief in the night. They're not going to be expecting who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ, which his real name is YAHAWASHI, to come back in a huge fathership to judge the wicked of our people.
Yep. Hey, the scriptures even say that. They said since the day of our fathers have sleep, the Lord hasn't returned because, we've all heard it growing up. Well, I don't know, but a lot of people heard like, oh, the Lord's coming back. When you're young, and the nigga felt like I've been hearing that since my granny been saying she heard the Lord coming back since she was young, and it never happened in their lifetime. So Jake had a mindset like, well, the Lord's not going to come back. Even if Jake has even accumulated a mindset, well, the Lord probably don't even exist. Jake has accumulated that type of mindset now. Yeah. See? So I'm gonna finish out in the Thessalonians, and I guess this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. I'm gonna read verse 5 again. It says, ye are all the children of the light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night.
And that's not going into not drinking any alcohol, but not being drunken off the philosophies of Babylon, off the philosophies of the world. The American dream. I'm a build generational wealth. I'm a build up my 401k and my stock portfolio. The bread and circus. This is what Jake is drunken with. And even these other religions, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism. They're taken by all these different philosophies, and they've been drunken. They've been put in a drunken state, so they don't be aware of what's going on. So that's ultimately why YAHAWASHI is going to destroy majority of our people. Yep. Because they're not watching. They're drunken. They're drunken with the wine of Babylon the Great.
I got a precept. Isaiah. Is anybody in Isaiah right now?
I'm in Isaiah. What you want?
Isaiah 55. And started verse. Hold on, let me see. Isaiah 55 started Isaiah 56, Salakia. And started verse 10 And then read down to verse 12, Baba Prashad.
God, and this is Isaiah chapter 56, verse 10. His watchmen are blind, they are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs, they cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, if you got a point, you can speak on it. If not, I'll speak on it, verse by verse. Because basically, that's going into obviously our people that are in the leadership positions, you know, those that have the title of looking over the people, but basically they selling the people out, you know, by not doing their job, right? Not doing what they were appointed to do. Okay? That's what it means when it says sleeping and lying down, loving to slumber. Like a dog, when an intruder comes, it's supposed to bark.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Watch me.
But imagine somebody breaking into your house and your dog just sleep the whole time. He just knocked out. He ain't barking. He ain't doing shit. What good is that dog? After that scenario, what are you gonna do to that dog that didn't bark?
No.
Get rid of him. He's useless, right? You feeding him and he's staying in your house, you know, for what? Right? Go ahead.
God, verse 11. Yea, they are greedy dogs, which can never have enough. And they are shepherds that cannot understand.
Mm-hmm.
They all look to their own way, everyone for his gain.
Yeah. So focusing on personal gain, right? How I can finesse the congregation, how I can get over, right? And not really taking this thing seriously, the situation that they've been, you know, that they've been given, which is the doors of repentance being open unto them, right? Now, the point is in verse 12. Go ahead.
God, it says, finishing out verse 11, it says, everyone for his gain from his quarter. Verse 12, come ye, say they, I will fetch wine, and we will find ourselves with strong drink. And tomorrow shall be as this day, and much more abundant.
Yeah, so let's all get drunk, and then tomorrow we're going to have an even bigger party. We're going to live it up even bigger tomorrow, man. That's their mindset, that party, drunken mindset, going into what you talked about, brother. You said basically, what was that precept that we read at the first? With being drunken.
Yeah, for the
Yeah, you know, now you can go back with that. You can go back, because that's basically a precept to what you just read.
If I can add, that's the spirit ISBK is in, man. You know, like every time, you know, they be having a cookout, they be like, what's that?
No, I was gonna have somebody on the camera.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, you know, because they be recording them cookouts. You know, which, you know, brothers, hey, you know, we be cooking out, but there's particular things that, you know, you show to the congregation and particular things you don't. You know, what type of spirit, what type of vibration you pushing out, you know? But, you know, these other camps, bro, they're in that red solo cup spirit, man. You know, that cookout, playing that Maze and Frankie Beverly spirit. That's not the spirit to push out the Jake, man. You know, now we do those things, but you ain't gonna see us do it on camera.
Exactly.
You know, Yahawah, you best believe, man, YAHAWASHI probably had, you know, he had times of reprieve and, you know, relaxation with his disciples, but that's not the energy and vibration he was pushing out, man. You see, this is a solemn assembly, bro. The house of mourning.
I got some for you. I mean, if you got a piece of
You got it.
Okay, I got some for this. Is Matthew chapter 24, verse, let me see. Verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in the days they were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
God, and that's the spirit that majority of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are in. You know, and even these Israelites that know that they're Israelites, they're in that same spirit. And they're pushing that out to their congregation of chilling, you know, not being, you know, not hastening the day, not being in that spirit of wanting to get out of here, because a lot of these Jakes, they sold out.
Yep.
You know, and even if they unwillingly sold out, you know, they invested so much into the system that it's too late for them to detach. They're like, nah. Just like when that I forgot his name, the young man came to YAHAWASHI, and he was telling them that he kept all the laws, you know, as he was growing up, you know. But then YAHAWASHI said, "Are you willing to leave all that behind?" He was like, "Nah."
I don't think his name was.
Now, I don't think
He's just a rich young ruler.
A young
Young
rich man.
Kind of
Oh,
young.
IRA.
Young rich.
Oh,
Yeah, and
shit.
that's a lot
He
of
may not
credit.
have been a nigga, but he
Yeah.
kind of, because
Yeah.
he said, he tried, he thought he was good, like basically, like, like shit. I've been doing what I'm supposed to do, but just to double check,
Yeah.
is there anything more I can do to be even more on point? And Yahawashi was like, shit, if you really want to be on point, you give away all these things. You give away all these things that you have. You sell your possessions, give it to the poor, and you'll come be my disciple if you really want to be on a level. You know what I'm saying? And then he was like, oh shit. He basically like regretted that he asked the question. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't take it there. That's why it's levels. It's levels. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't a scoffer, but he been trying to, he bit off what he could chew. He thought he was on a level, but he really, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't ready to take it there.
He was a niggard. He was stingy.
He's stingy, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I would say that too.
Yeah, and that's the spirit that these Israelites, we know that the Israelites are in. They claim to be in the truth, but they're not willing to let go of these worldly riches to follow after YAHAWASHI. That's why they sold out with the 501c3s. They refuse to teach the true names. They refuse to teach the breakdown of the MOTPs. So ultimately, when YAHAWASHI comes back, he's not gonna deliver them. Because they were really ashamed of what his true message came with, of leaving the world behind and detaching yourself from Babylon the Great, which is America, and leave this world behind to look forward towards the kingdom of heaven. That's why majority of Jays gonna get called a thief in the night, because a lot of Jays, they heard the truth and they heard what it requires, but they're like, nah, I can't get with that. I'd rather do my thing in the world. I'm gonna go get the bag, because they have that mindset that America's gonna continue as it's been like, for decades.
Yeah.
Even though shit's popping off, Jake is still having that mentality that it's somehow gonna come back to so-called normal. That Babylon is gonna be healed, but we know that that's not gonna happen.
Hey, I was gonna say, I mean, they be saying it ain't no Jacob troubles. Majority of camps, if they do talk about Jacob troubles, they don't really mention it a lot. These are the times that be mentioning Jacob trouble. When you read in Matthew 19, my bad. Well, I'm actually, we read in Matthew 24, later in the verse, he says that to give them meat in due season. You see, when you read it, as a matter of fact, let me grab it real quick. I'm gonna get it real quick for you. This is Matthew 24, and we'll start at verse 42. It says, watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doeth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what which the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore ye be also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. You see, going to the aspect of, like you mentioned earlier, and a lot of Jake, they're in the spirit of what? They're going to be caught in the thief in the night, because they're not occupied in prophecy. Yahushua said occupied. So we will be occupied in prophecy. And if you're looking forward to the kingdom of heaven being established, you're going to be occupied in prophecy. It's just like if you're at your job site. You're at your job site, you trying to get the hell home. You checking the clock every second, especially when you know it's going to be the end of the day. After lunch, we got 2 more hours. You checking every minute, because you trying to get the hell up out of it. Well, that's the spirit of the elect. They're going to be what? Checking up prophecies, seeing what's going on the earth, doing what the Lord told them to do. Because Yahushua said in this same chapter that it was going to be a particular season that he was going to come. You see, there's going to be certain signs that's going to come upon the earth that's going to let you know, okay, where we at in time. How close are we? How far are we? Now, close, we don't know the exact day, but we know we're close, the MOTB. And then you got these fucking false prophets, they waxing worse. New doctrine, new breakdown. You see? Still selling the dream to the flock. Lying so they could get more money out of them. See? Charging for breakdowns like the priest, like we just read in Isaiah 55. Getting more drunk the next day, living lavish. You see? Keep going. It says, therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season. You see, so you got a lot of individuals out there proclaiming to be a ruler over the house of the Lord. And what they're not giving the flock meat in due season. Telling them there's no Jacob troubles. It's not giving them meat in due season. Showing your congregation, oh, you got to get, like the priest mentioned, having these cookouts and all these things. We ain't saying, Jake, you can't do that, but that's not the certain type of vibration you want to put amongst the congregation. You know, you don't want the congregation thinking like, okay, this is the time to be enjoying ourselves. This is the time to be being living lavish, you know, trying to experiment with all the things about. This is the time to be focused and to be single because we finna get up out of here. Our husband for the return. That's the spirit we need to be in. You read about that in 2 Peter 3. It says, seeing then all the things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in, and all holy conversation and godliness. We need to be making sure we separating ourselves from these niggas in the world. Because the Lord is going to come destroy these niggas in this world, man.
Yeah, all these Israelites having Passovers at the strip club and marching up and down the streets. How is that edifying the flock? That's not edifying the flock. That's just putting more gimmicks out there so you can get more followers.
Yep.
So ultimately, all these false prophet camps and all these Christian churches, they're gonna have a very severe judgment coming onto them.
Yeah, holding up traffic. You're already late to work now. ISRAELITES or IUIC. You know, they got fucking, you know, roads closed down so they black asses can march. Now you super late to work.
You
know? You wasting everybody's time.
Exactly. Con, this is verse 46, Matthew 24 and verse 46. Blessed is that servant whom the Lord, when he come, shall find so doing. Right? We're doing what? Pushing forth the word, man. Doing what he told us to do. Because when YAHAWASHI come back, the scripture say he gonna begin at his household first, you see? So he gonna begin in the ones in the know. The ones that proclaim to be under the circumcision. The Lord he gonna shine that land on your works and see what you've been doing. If I gave you talents, are you multiplying them, or you took your talent and hid it under a blanket? You see? You wasn't shining before me. You was lying. You know, bearing false witness, trying to gain money out of it. Essentially being just like the Christian church, but you just slap Israelite on the top of it, pretty much. You know? Keep going. It says, verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all good things. And this is to the obedient servant. That's what we're looking forward to. The Lord promised us sovereignty and rulership as long as we be obedient unto him. You see? Even in scripture you say that you was faithful over a few things, I'm gonna make you ruler over many things. That's what we're looking forward to, man. We have not a continuous here, but we seek when it comes. That's the kingdom of heaven we seeking for. Right? Verse 48. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and you see them doing that. It showed in their actions, man. They don't believe the Lord return. You had a nigga Alizé. Come on. Well, after I'm reading again, you got it, huh? I was going to say this is Matthew 24:48. But if the evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of the servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him.
And that's what a lot of these Israelite camp leaders in their leadership positions, that's what they're doing. They're not warning their flock. You know, they're gathering up all this money, you know, pushing all these gimmicks, rap battles, you know, Hebrew Israelite cookouts, Hebrew Israelite speed dating, Hebrew Israelite sitcoms, all this stuff.
Wrestling matches.
All this stuff that doesn't correlate to prophecy. So ultimately, they're spiritually smiting their congregation, you know, pretty much leading them to destruction because they're not warning them. They're not telling them, hey, Jacob's trouble's about to come. You know, all hell's about to break loose. You know, the only way you're going to be covered is by YAHAWASHI, hiding under the shadow of the Almighty. So all these Jakes that are pushing false doctrine to the congregation, both of them are going to get destroyed. You know, you do have some members of the elect among these congregations, but YAHAWASHI is going to pull them out of that. And the rest of these Jakes, they're going to keep following them blindly, you know, following them after they tell them to take the MOTP, you know, tell them that it's not a sin. They're all going to get put to death. You know, but especially the leadership, because they knew better. A lot of these leadership position guys, they know what the truth is. They know the true names. They know what the MOTP is, but they're not breaking it down to the congregation. So that's going to lead them to have a lot of blood on their hands.
Now, this is Matthew 24, and at verse 50 said, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in the hour that he is not aware of him, and shall cut him asunder and appoint his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
And that's what's going to happen to these so-called watchmen, these other Israelite camp leaders that are teaching false doctrine, but because they're not really watching.
Yep.
You know, they go out on the highways once every 6 months, you know, to make a show, to make an appearance, but then they go back into their hiding, you know, back into the, you know, the large wooden tables, with all the fancy gimmicks, all the golden cups and the flashy garments. But when it's wintertime and summertime, you don't see them out here. They claim that, you're only supposed to go out when it's good weather. They have an off season, just like in sports. There ain't no off season to coming out here and prophesying. You're supposed to be out here week in and week out,
Yeah.
warning Jake of what's about to come upon the planet Earth. Because if you're not blowing that trumpet, then how is Jake gonna know what's coming? How is he gonna be aware of the incoming danger?
2 Timothy 4:2 in the NLT. Preach the word of YAHAWASHI. Be prepared whether the time is favorable or not. Patiently correct, rebuke, and encourage your people with good teaching.
And even if it's hot, even if it's cold, we have to be circumspect. It may be 0 degrees, but we still, push out a lesson. It may be an indoor sit down. But you got these other camps that aren't coming to the highways and byways. They're not, and even if they are pushing videos, it may be just their leadership. Even though they have thousands of members, they're not pushing out lessons.
And even when they do, they ain't talking about nothing. They talking about some worldly shit, fucking. It sounds like a regular podcast in the world.
Yeah.
Talking about all celebrity gossip and stuff, and like, oh, you heard what but that's why Scripture speaks about, when you blow the trumpet. Was that 1 Corinthians 14? How can they be prepared except it has a distinct sound? The trumpet has to have a distinct sound so you could know, okay, what tone, is this trumpet preparing me for? Like, what does it prepare me for? Is it prepare me for a time of feast, or is it prepare me for a time of battle?
And a lot of these other Israelite camps, they're pushing a song, but they're not pushing the correct song. They're pushing the song of being in that spirit of mirth, that spirit of chilling, laying back, kicking your feet up. That's the wrong song to push out to Jake. Because if you tell Jake that that's okay, then they're going to blindly follow. Because Jake is simple, Jake is his sheep. So they're going to follow that song. That congregation's going to follow that song, that tune. Okay, then if my leadership's telling me that it's okay to chill and lay back because there's no Jacob's trouble coming, there's no hell, all hell's not about to break loose. They told me that America has another 1,000 years. So okay,
Damn.
I'm gonna follow what my leadership's telling me. But ultimately, what is that gonna lead to? It's gonna lead Jake to taking an MOTB to get put to death during Jacob's trouble, to be put to death during the famine. But that's ultimately because they were following after the wrong leadership. They weren't following after the true shepherds of YAHAWASHI.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7. And I'm going to start at verse 4. It says, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools.
So the true spirit to be in is in the house of mourning, of wanting to get out of America, Babylon the Great, of wanting to be delivered out of captivity. Because that's what we truly want. Why the hell would we want to continue to be here in America for another 50, another 100 years, continue to pay taxes, continue to go to these 9-to-5s and be in traffic, stuck in traffic for 2-3 hours? That's madness, but that's what Jake wants. And that's the tune that they've been following after these Christian churches, these false Israelite camps, because they tell them, oh, nah, be in the spirit of feasting. It's okay to be in captivity. It's okay to follow after the white man and do whatever he says. But that's not the spirit that the elect are in, because we know what the world is really supposed to be ran in. It's supposed to be ran by the law, statutes, commandments being pushed out. But it's not being ran that way. It's being ran in complete wickedness.
You got something? I was going to jump up.
You can finish.
All right, I'm going to jump up real quick. This is Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart.
And that's ultimately why Jake wants to be in the spirit of feasting, because they think this is as good as it gets. It's America. It's a 9-to-5, a 401k. You get a couple weeks off of work, vacation weeks, a year. And Jake think he's good. Oh, shit, I got 2 weeks off the whole year.
Oh, don't let a nigga start getting seniority on his job.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy, he got some people underneath him. Oh, he done made it, bro. Like, you're not even a fucking manager, but you got some, you like, probably like, the second most senior guy.
Yeah.
Like you feeling good, like because these niggas out here, because you got a GM plant out here in Arlington, Texas. These old heads, they've been working for GM for 35, 40 plus years. They don't want to retire. They ain't never missed a day of work.
He got all his children in college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know you talking
Yeah,
about.
nigga get 50% off on any GMC truck you want. Nigga good, bro. See, you can buy a nigga for cheap, man. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's how you become a house nigga. Straight up. That's how you become a house nigga.
Yeah.
Right there. You're so dedicated to master. You do whatever master wants you to do. Because now you feel like you're close to the master, right? Because he's giving you a little more than he gave that guy right there. Now you think you're something. So why would you want this kingdom to end? You just came up on something. Man, shit. Give me a new car, because shit, I'm about to up my life. See? But like the going into, this is not our rest. You're still under the curse, Jay.
And that's what Jake don't get. They get a promotion at the job, they get a raise, and all of a sudden they forget about all their problems. But that's ultimately Esau, Edom, and self-proclaimed white man giving you that raise so you can forget that you're in captivity. You're like, okay, I got a $20,000 raise. And what you gonna do with that raise? You're gonna get another car, you're gonna get a more expensive apartment. So you're gonna be like, oh shit. Now I'm doing so-called better. But you still gotta pay taxes, you still gotta go to work. And let you not pay the taxes on that property, on that house, that shit gonna get taken away. Let you not pay that car note on that house, that shit gonna get repoed. That's what Jake don't get. And ultimately, it don't matter how much you so-called own. You don't really own shit here in America. It's all really owned by Esau Edom. It don't matter how much you have in the stock market, your stock portfolio. Esau Edom could take that shit away. He could crash the stock market and you could lose it all in 2 seconds like that.
Not could, he will.
Yeah, he is soon.
And that's when our people are gonna really find out the wickedness of the devil. Because like the man explained, people like my uncle, he had won the lottery. But just think, the next day you wake up, your ass gotta go to work.
Man.
Because your money gone. Now what you gonna do? See what I'm saying? It's just the mindset of our people, thinking they're good in a good place. And they just don't know what's coming toward us. Because we understand, hey, hell and affliction is coming, persecution is coming, but we've been prepared in the spirit. And that's gonna, wisdom, knowledge, and what is that? Wisdom and knowledge and be the stability. Yeah, wisdom and understanding.
Yep.
Isaiah 33:6. Be the stability of our time. But hey, our people, man, they thinking like the priest was literally going into that this is gonna be our place of rest. And they're gonna find out soon enough. And I'm ready for this shit to happen.
Yep. Yeah, Jake getting hung on trees right now. There was another Jake today. That's the second one within a week. But you ain't hear it being published all over the news like CK was.
Exactly.
And they made this fucking CK character as a fucking idol, bro.
Yeah.
Like if you don't mourn this motherfucker properly, bro, you gonna, like goddamn. Yeah. So it's like, and I'm being facetious what I'm about to say, but it's almost like they might as well build a fucking statue of CK, and if you don't bow down, you get thrown into the fiery furnace. That's pretty much like the sentiment, the spirit that they're putting this man in. Like he's and nobody knew about this motherfucker, bro. Nobody knew about him, bro. But that's how it is. People only know about you after you get deleted. But Esau, okay, use CK and still using CK. They're not done with this dude. They're not done with the. Esau's gonna milk this shit, bro. You're gonna keep hearing about this for months. Oh, let it be next year, CK's anniversary of his deletion.
Boy.
Bro, you know what I mean? So Esau's about to milk this, and he's using this as a point of division, man, to stir up this civil war, bro.
Hey, like you said that, man, just to mention that too. Like I said, CK, I mean, a lot of people don't know the fuck that nigga is. He really just a debater. He just go to high school debating kids and shit, in college and shit. But a lot of times, he a lot of times he took on the standpoint of being, example is Trump. A lot of Jake, they kind of controlization that Trump ain't shit, He sees Trump, he said he's going to send the troops to Chicago, out of particular, like the priest said. It's just Esau stirring up the pot for civil war, because a lot of Jake don't like CK, Now, you don't get it twisted. You do got the dumbass Jake out there that do love CK, but a lot of Jakes, they're not too fond of CK because of his standpoint on a lot of the most touchy topics, As a matter of fact, he made a point and kind of said, like, I was watching some back. A brother made a video on it some time ago. He made a point of people saying, like, based upon the statistics, of Israelites, black men, the black men is the worst type of, men in earth. Like, they the demons. And initially, a lot of Jake was offended because it's like, well, the real demon got to be the person that's fucking controlling the system. He's like, no, the statistics say this. So a lot of Jake didn't like when he said that. So, like the priest mentioned, it's just stirring up Jake even more. Who's to rouse up Judah?
Yeah,
As the scripture say.
that's it. I was just thinking that's
That's
spirit.
what's happening.
Yep. Yeah, you just go. As a matter of fact, the Elder Apostle Gabar and Bishop Zachariah was just going into that, in their Tuesday, live lesson, going into, Judah being roused up, and that's going to happen. That's biblical prophecy. Genesis 49, Isaiah 19, Micah the 5th chapter, Zechariah 9, bro, Jake is about to rise up. Now, a lot of Jake going to get slaughtered, but also a lot of Jake going to be doing a lot of slaughtering too, man.
Yeah.
Now those of us that's following YAHAWASHI, we've been commanded to do what? Zechariah 3:9. Wait upon the Lord until the day that he rise up for the prey.
Yeah.
And the Lord's going to endow his men with spiritual power here on this side and make his men famous on this side and give his men and throw his men a bone and to fuck up these heathens, man, in the Lord's time. And we're waiting upon YAHAWASHI. So don't get caught up in these skirmishes and these protests and these civil uprisings. That's for these people to get caught in, man.
Yeah.
This is our work right here. This is how we fight. Our fight is spiritual. Ephesians 6, 2 Corinthians 10. All right? You got it, bro.
All the civil war that's really about to kick off, that's for these Edomites and for these worldly Jakes. These militia Jakes. They're thinking that they're going to form a militia and somehow take the government back. No, ultimately, the only one who's going to take all these governments down is YAHAWASHI. That's the only way that Jake is going to get back into rulership position. Not by a damn AK and a Glock and a reconnaissance and planning out this how to maneuver through the city when all hell breaks loose. That's only going to get Jake so far because ultimately they don't have the protection of YAHAWASHI. So a lot of Jakes out here, yeah, they may survive a couple of days, but then eventually Esau Edom's going to come down with that great sword, with weapons they never seen before.
Yeah.
These hyper sonic weapons that he don't even have to be nearby. He can just press the button. And you're gonna have these sounds that are gonna make your ears bleed out. Like in that movie Leave the World Behind. That's what's happening, and that's gonna happen to a lot of our people. They're gonna be thinking that I'm in my bunker, I'm chilling, I'm waiting for Esau Edom to come so I can put him to death. And then Esau Edom's gonna click that button and that's it. And also he has these robot dogs, he has these drones, he has all these weapons that he never released to the public before that he has reserved for Jake.
Yeah.
But not just for Jake, for Edomites as well, these so-called white people. Because Esau Edom, he wants to put the majority of the world in slavery, and that's what's going to happen. And since the majority of the world is not going to, they're not going to accept it, they're not going to comply, then Esau Edom's going to put that sword to them.
Man.
Yep.
So,
You don't make it black. This is Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy.
So we don't have to do anything physically in a sense of fighting back against the so-called white man Esau Edom. We don't have to build bunkers and stock up on ammo. That's what the 2/3 Jakes are doing. That's what worldly Jakes are doing. Because ultimately they lack faith. They don't believe in YAHAWASHI's prophecies, what his will is. So they're gonna do all these carnal things to prepare. But the elect, we're not preparing carnally. We're preparing spiritually. We know that eventually, like it says in Jeremiah 16 and verse 16, he's gonna turn his fishers into hunters. And that's when we're gonna get our bone. But for now, we just have to go out on the highways and prophesy, put up these electronic pistols and warn our people. We don't have to go out there and fight physically and buck up against Esau Edom carnally.
Because he wants you to do that.
Yeah.
Yep. You got the Exodus?
Yeah. This is Exodus chapter 14, and I'm starting at verse 13. It says, and Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. Yahweh shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
And we're back in the same Egyptian captivity. We're in spiritual Egypt all over again. And what is YAHAWASHI about to do to these spiritual Egyptians? He's about to put them to death.
Yep.
We don't have to do nothing. The
Man.
Lord is going to put these people to death. He's going to put it up on their spirit to lead each other, to put each other to death,
Yep.
because that's his will. His will isn't to make America great again. His will isn't to heal Babylon the Great.
No.
His will is to stir up these people's minds, because iniquity's waxing worse and worse. The hearts of many are waxing cold. That's what's happening. That's what YAHAWASHI is putting upon these elites to send these so-called CIA agents, to put these people to death. Or maybe they're just psyops, maybe they're false flags, but ultimately it's the Lord's will to stir up the minds of these people so that civil war can really kick off and that Jacob's trouble can really kick off.
God, because in the beginning it said stand still. In other words, pretty much remain calm.
Yeah.
Sit there and watch, because Yahweh he gonna be working miracles.
That's
It
it.
don't says in Daniel 12:1 for nothing that the Michael the Archangel is gonna stand up. It don't say that for no reason.
God.
Right, Lord, he finna really work a miracle for his men only. Right, not for you 2/3, man, because we know what Sirach 40:8 says: death, bloodshed, strife, calamity, famine, and scourges. These things are created for the wicked. So destruction that's coming is for y'all, but the deliverance that is coming, that's for the elect of the nation of Israel. But you got it, man.
This is Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, and it reads, "But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." And this is what the men of the Lord waiting on, okay? So you can't go out there and be cornered with Esau Edom, man, all right? You can't have trust in this world and think you're going to get delivered, all right? So the men of the Lord, we're going to wait until that spiritual power and to those who mourn about it so we can do what we are commanded to do, because Esau Edom, you're going into captivity, man.
That's it.
That will happen.
Will.
That's right. I got a piece of for you real quick. This is Psalms 149 and verse 1. It says, "Praise ye the Lord, sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of the saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him, and let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance, and let them sing praises." And the reason I want to bring this out, because the priest brought out the Exodus and what happened after, the Lord delivered the nation Israel from Pharaoh, right? They sung the song of Moses. And when you go into the song of Moses, they go to how what the Lord overthrew the horse and his rider. And the Lord's going to do the same thing today. The Lord is going to overthrow the horse and his rider.
But really, the Song of Moses, Song of Moses, Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Salaki. My bad. Salaki. But yeah, we're going
But
to.
that was a song that Miriam sang, Exodus 15.
God.
That was a song of Miriam. He sung it, in the congregation of Israel. But you got it.
Yeah, but like the priest said, hey, the priest said, but we're going to sing that song of Moses, you see? We're going to sing that song of the Lord overthrowing the horse and the rider. Not us. We're not going to do nothing. We're just going to submit as a woman does. You see, when you think about the concept of a woman, when a woman's, I guess you could say her role, it doesn't necessarily say that she's going to protect herself.
All right.
A woman, it ain't in a woman role, oh, she's going to protect. No, her role is to submit unto a higher authority. You see, the Lord even said that he likened us unto little children. Children don't protect themselves. They can be protected by their parents. And they also know who to run to when shit get bad. That's Proverbs 18. You see, they know who to run to when shit get bad. That's a problem with Jay. They don't know who to run to. They're going to run to Esau. That's not your father. You see, he's going to smite you.
Yeah, protection comes from obedience.
Exactly.
You ain't going to protect no hoe and she don't listen to you. She out of order.
Man.
You know what I mean? It's shit.
Yeah, it makes me think about Deuteronomy 28:68, how no man shall buy you, and the word buy really goes into redeem you, all right? Because we're under the curses, and on top of that, Jake already tried, man. The one I'm thinking about specifically, Lake Lanier, right? Because there used to be a black along with others. There used to be a black community right there, and what happened? Lord, fuck that shit up. Turn that shit into a whole goddamn lake. Right, and it was like countless more I can't really think of right now. But Lake Lanier, I know most brothers know that one. How that used to be a black community that was starting to thrive, and then Esau wiped that shit up because guess what? They went against the general. They went against YAHWASHI. And what happens when you go against the general in the army, man? You get shot. You die. Right? You want to move on your own. At that point, you don't went rogue. Therefore, when you go rogue, that's punishable by death.
Freelancing.
Yeah, pretty much. Just trying to do your own shit, and the Lord's gonna show you, all right, the shit ain't gonna work. We ain't got no choice but to wait, right? Hell, we already got our examples of trying.
Really, that's a conflict of interest. Whenever you're outside of the orders from the chief and commander, and you freelancing, you trying to do your own thing, the king, he views that from two main standpoints: conflict of interest, and also like, goddamn, treasonous against me. Like, what you trying to get me set up?
Exactly.
So that's why it's very important to stick to the script, man. So that's what's going to have the elect covered. It's his testimony and the blood of YAHAWASHI, sticking to the script.
That's one of the reasons King Saul was removed from the throne, from not sticking to the script. He didn't ask for YAHAWASHI's advice before going to war. Seeing that take place, that was one of the first things David did when he was king over all of Israel. He asked to go, if he should go attack the Philistines, then even to go further. Each step was galvanized by "Thus saith the Lord," which is how precise we got to be. Every step we take got to be, whether that be a sign of prayer, of course, being close to Yahweh, reading the scriptures, but just having that relationship.
Yeah, and then it's like if then on top of that, my bad. Saul, he was being disobedient unto Yahweh. When it came to smiting all the Amalekites, and he did it, right, as well as the sheep and the bullock and all that. Said he tried to bring that back for a sacrifice. So being disobedient, man, as it says in the 1 Samuel 15, the 15th chapter, I forgot exactly where.
20.
Kind of 15:22. Right, how the Lord, he would rather obedience than sacrifice. Right. So you being obedient to his orders, man, the Lord, that lets you know that you really 10 toes down for the Lord. Now you move outside of that, despite no matter what it is, if it's a quote unquote good thing, the Lord's like, no, you disobeyed me. Right? Because you being disobedient, that could fuck a whole lot of shit up that you don't even know about. You got it, bro.
I got a precept for you. This is Sirach, also known as Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 7. Ye that fear the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall.
And we're supposed to wait on the Lord, because Jake has already tried all these different gimmicks, all these different groups, from the Black Panthers and all these different so-called black movement groups. But what happened to them? Ultimately, they all got put down. The leader of the Black Panther group, he got put to death. Ultimately, because they weren't doing what Yahweh commanded, was to wait on the Lord, to wait on him, because he's the one that's going to bring the enemy down, not by our own doing. Because if you was to let Jake, bring the enemy down, then he would exalt himself. And that's not what it's about. We're supposed to exalt Yahweh because that's where the power comes from, not from our own. The saving power, that's to show his power. No, not to show our power. That's what a lot of Jake don't get.
And then Salaki, you go ahead. Finish.
Because they want the glory for themselves. They don't want the glorify Yahweh Shai.
Yep. I was just gonna say, and that's gonna take a lot of faith.
Yeah.
As we've been bringing out these scriptures through the Spirit, going into waiting on the Lord. Don't fight back, because you're gonna be tempted, to react in the flesh, because in the carnal side of things, it's gonna look bad, bro.
Yeah.
It's gonna look like we're literally worms. Like, here, everybody else got guns and AKs, and they doing this, they doing that. And it's like, damn, bro. Like, you hearing gunshots whizzing over your head. Like, you trying, but you waiting on the Lord, bro. That takes faith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That takes a lot of faith, and a lot of Jake, they're gonna fold, they're gonna bitch up, and they're gonna try to react in the carnal, and they're gonna be playing it in the Esau's territory, and they're gonna get off, man. They're gonna get judged severely by Yahweh Bashemal Shai. You see, but those that keep their faith, man, striving to the truth unto death, Lord's willing, all of us brothers up here, and you sincere Akima Akwath, man, hey, we endure, because that's the temptation in of itself, bro.
That's right.
Hey, but nonetheless, hey, salvation's coming for the elect, bro. The elect, they're gonna stick to the script.
And
We just
also-
hope and pray that we're part of that number.
Also, that standard gonna be lifted up
That's it.
for the men of the Lord.
Yeah.
So we got hope, man. And that hope is in Yahweh Shai. Through these scriptures. Okay.
I'm still reading that verse. It says, ye that fear the Lord, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. Because the priest was mentioning going into that faith. The priest has mentioned how the Lord is going to have divine intervention for his elect. You see, and that's going to be the galvanizing point for the elect in the time of Jacob troubles their faith. That Yahweh Shai is going to bestow upon them, and they're going to believe no matter what. Like the priest said, it's going to get bad at her, man. And it's going to be a test. You see, it's that's the point. The Lord is a man of war. It's going to be a test of the flesh and the spirit in the time of Jacob trouble. You know, you might have particular things. You might even have a family. You know, or whatnot. The Lord going to test you because you got to see what is your priority lies with. It lies with those particular
Man.
things that I've given you, or does it lie with submitting unto me? You see, that's what the Lord's going to see. And we know at the end of the day, according to Scripture, the elect is going to line their faith in Yahweh by Shah, man. You see. So I'm gonna jump down real quick because this is the flip side.
And the Lord, because you went, was that you or the brother talking about that word standard? Yeah.
Well, I said it, but I
Okay, yeah, you said it. Yeah, how the Lord's going to lift up that standard, you know, pursuant to Isaiah 59 and 19 and verse 20. And you go into that word standard, it says a way of escape. It also says to flee. And it also says to basically disappear. The Lord can have you to, like, literally, bro, like, he can have you just like, you in the middle of just a whole bunch of skirmishes and civil uprising. The Lord just have it to where you just invisible to those people, bro. That's a standard right there. Something as subtle as just the Lord just making you invisible, like, yo. But that's gonna be happening. You know what I mean? Like, man, I could have sworn I just saw him. Where he go? You know, a pack of Edomites could be chasing you, following you and your family, and the Lord just all of a sudden just make all y'all invisible, bro.
That's an account for that. With Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah. You remember? He blinded the.
Yeah. He blinded.
Yeah,
Yep.
they were able to escape.
Yep. But hey, those motherfuckers were so goddamn demonic that they, even though they got blinded, bro, they were still trying to lay hold, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got it for you.
They wicked here too.
Yeah.
Especially in that day.
Yeah.
I got another precept for you right now. This Psalms 91 and verse 7. It says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. See, now we're gonna see, kind of going to the point, you know, like the priest said, like being invisible, like the Lord hides their countenance. You see, where you're not being revealed. You see, judgment. Because you got to think about it, it's gonna be all out anarchy in the streets, niggas running. You know, you might sit there, you just pray, nigga, run straight past your ass. Like, they get out. Y'all see, get out the niggas running, he fucking turn, you know. But you know, it's gonna be shit like that. Niggas running past, niggas shoot. You know, nigga might point at you, but move over because the Lord gonna be testing us. You see? So I'm gonna jump back to this real quick. This is Sirach, also known as Ecclesiastes, because this is the flip side if you don't wait on the Lord, right? It says, woe unto you that have lost patience. And what will you do when the Lord shall visit you? You see, so when you lose patience, now you become an enemy of the Lord. When you decide that I want to submit unto the Lord no more, now you become an enemy. You see, and since you was once in the understanding, since you was once in the understanding, you're on the top list of his enemies now. You see, you become the top list of his enemies. That's what's going to happen if you decide, I gotta go. You know, like, Lord, take it too long for my family hungry. See, hey, the Lord he gonna jack niggas up like that, man.
Yeah.
Family, you complain to your family, like, you hungry, you know, you're not sticking to the script. You're like, it's taking too long. You see, and that's why, hey, that's you losing the faith, and that's gonna be to your damnation essentially, man.
Right. There's a scripture that goes into that. It says, woe to you that lost patience. So a lot of that's great.
I can read it for you again, brother. Hey, Lord, want to hear it again, man. You know, Lord, be double it down.
Scripture.
This is Sirach, also known as Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, verse 14. Woe unto you that have lost patience, and what will you do when the Lord shall visit you?
And that's what's going to happen to a lot of our people. You know, they're going to fall out because they're like, oh, shit. You know, the Lord's taking forever. You know, maybe they haven't ate in 2 days. And they're going to fold. They're going to go down there and go to Egypt for help. And ultimately, that's going to lead them to get destroyed for losing patience, for not waiting on YAHAWASHI. Because that could have just been a test. You know, the Lord pushed you to 2 or 3 days without eating. But that's ultimately a test from YAHAWASHI to see if you was going to have faith on him or have faith in Esau, Edom. You know, but we're coming into those times where the Lord is going to taste our faith and our patience on a whole nother level. You know, and he's about to do that soon when he collapses this system, when he collapses this economy. You know, we got to lose our jobs because, you know, we refuse to take the MOTB, you know, during the hour of temptation. You know, but ultimately we know that we're going to fully have to rely on YAHAWASHI, and our faith is going to have to go into overdrive.
Yeah, we got to be prepared to have our faith pushed to the very edge of the cliff, proverbially speaking, man. The Lord, he's going to take it there. He's gonna take it there for all of us, man. Like none of us are exempt. So that's what we should be, meditating upon every day, bro. Having our faith tried to the max. Look at our forefather Abraham. His faith was the Lord took it there. He pushed Abraham's faith to the very edge, bro. Hey, sacrifice the son of the promise. And the Lord, allowed Abraham to contemplate it overnight. Because you gotta imagine, bro. Hey, Abraham was a man just like us. The Lord gave him a whole night to sleep on it. That was running through his mind. And then as soon as he woke up in the morning, Scripture says that he hasted. He hasted, meaning he hurried up and got up. So that fear of the Lord was driving him to do that. But nonetheless, the Lord, bro. Because remember when we read the Scriptures, we read an account, but it takes a process of time for those things to happen. He had to get up, prepare a servant, tell a servant, hey, wake up, it's time to go. Load up the oxen or the whatever mule or donkey, water, whatever animal donkey they was riding up on, laden it, with the burden, put the wood, all that. So it was taking time, and he was seeing his son Isaac the whole time. Abraham knew what he was about to do, man.
Hey, did he?
Yeah. But you got to. Then it was a long walk. He told his servant, hey, stay right here. Me and my son, we're gonna go sacrifice. We're gonna worship Yahawah, man. It was a long walk up there. This whole time, Abraham was thinking, bro. The Lord is trying his faith, man. And I'm just thinking as you speak, as you preaching, bro. This is a beautiful topic to go into, because a lot of Jake, bro, they not ready for their faith to get. They not thinking about their faith being tried to the max like this, man.
Dang.
It's bigger than you just catching a fucking flat tire or losing your job, man. That shit sucks. It makes for a bad day, But at the end of the day, bro, the Lord was using these things to prepare us, man. And then for the Lord to take it all the way to the very point to where Abraham was about to put that knife in Isaac, but at the last minute, the Lord stopped his hand. So that was the Lord pushing Abram's faith, to the edge of the cliff. So all of us is going to have our faith pushed to the edge of the cliff, man. So that hour of temptation, bro, that ain't going to be no cakewalk, bro.
Man.
It's called a temptation for a reason. It's going to be tempting, man.
Right.
For us. You got it, bro.
I want to add on to the point. It was even more crazy too, because I got a son now. Not that son, but I be thinking about it. He even Isaac asked his father, "What are we doing?" You know what I'm saying? So when you add that to it, imagine you in that situation. You're walking this long walk, and your son asks you, "Father, what's the?" You like, you see it? It's like, what's the? We gonna go sacrifice? He like, fuck, I gotta take you out.
But here's another one that that was a promise tied to Isaac. If that was Ishmael, he probably been like his ass is bad. I don't give a damn. But
Abraham loved Ishmael too.
Right. But I'm just saying, with that being his promise, it's it's not like he was a little badass kid or nothing like that. You look at him like, man, he gave me the one that the promise was gonna come through. And so what you're saying is very heavy, because that is on your mind, like, dang, it's the only one I got. That was a lot that was going through that. Sarah mocking the angels, all of these things that's going through his mind. That was heavy.
And the main things that was pretty much, the driving force, the driving factor, behind Abram's obedience was the fear of YAHAWASHI, being coupled along with that faith, and belief in the resurrection.
Yep.
And all those things we're gonna have to have, man. That's how we get victory over this place. 1 John the 5th chapter. For who can win this battle against the world? Only those that have faith in the Son of the Most High.
I got some. Con, this is you break it down, brother. 1 Corinthians 3:12, and I'm gonna read it in the KJV. It says, anyone who builds on that foundation may use a variety of metals, gold, silver, jewels, wood, hay, or straw. But on the judgment day, fire will reveal what kind of work each builder has done. The fire will show if a person's work has any value. If the work survives, that builder will receive a reward. But if the work is burned up, the builder will suffer great loss. The builder will be saved, but like someone barely escaping through a wall of flames.
And that's contrasting the elect and the non-elect, the 1/3 and the 2/3, like in Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8. The elect, they're gonna go through that fire and be refined into that pure gold, to take out all that dross. But the non-elect, the 2/3, they're gonna be burned up because there were dross. They weren't meant to be those precious metals, that precious pure 24 karat gold. So so ultimately the 2/3 they're gonna get put to death when that fire, when that calamity, the hour of temptation comes. While the elect, they're not gonna be taken by those things. They're gonna instead be purified even more. Their faith is gonna go into full overdrive, how it was supposed to be from the beginning. To have that full trust in Yahawah Shai, to fully rely on the Lord to keep them, to feed them throughout when all hell breaks loose. But the 2/3, they're not going to rely on Yahawah Shai. They're going to be taken by the hour of temptation, by martial law, by the famine, because they're going to fold. That heat was too much for them, so they're going to get burnt up.
And if I can say too, these actions have what they call like affirming benefits. Like when you do something, like when you read, right? When we read, these things get ingrained in us in our actions. Where we think about it, it has an effect on how our day looks. The sun, you read, and the sun is a little bit brighter, and it further proves that the Lord is with you. It exists. You start to see the signs. All right, those actions they keep us going throughout our daily life, which is an exercise for when things do get hard. Because things right now are our good days. It's easy to serve Yahweh shopping through little inconveniences, even through our good days, right? We'd be like, okay, well, damn, at least the brother hit me up today and told me have a beautiful day. We could keep going, or the Lord revealed something to me, I could keep going. But as the inconveniences get bigger for us,
Yeah.
that evidence is going to be able to move through and push us to be able to endure. So at the same time, our work is affirming what we believe, and showing us that we can get through these days. Just like in the beginning of Yahawah's ministry, when Satan came unto him, he was prepared for his ministry afterward, and eventually his baptism, which we being prepared for our baptism. As we're pouring out our works, right? And as it says in Philippians, the 2nd chapter, these works, the putting on a like mind, all right, it's confirming our belief, man.
And you said a very important and heavy word, bro. Inconvenient. Because right now, it's not really. I mean, you catch a little backlash. You get a scoffer every now and then, or But compared to what our apostles have been through and gone through, and ultimately what's coming for all of us here very soon, and related to all of that, like it's still, quote unquote, sort of convenient to serve the Lord. Like you got Wi-Fi, it's easy to do a lesson. You can do a lesson and the screen not even on you. You doing a lesson with shorts on, you in the bed. You know what I mean? Like they don't know. You edify. So it's convenient. Air conditioning, heating. But very soon, okay, we're all about to be, shut off the grid, and none of us have ever, had the experience or had the opportunity to see what our faith is going to be like individually. Okay, as we're going to be separated from the grid. Yeah. We don't know what it's like to serve the Lord with no lights on. We don't know what it's like to serve the Lord. Okay, you just, you don't know when your next meal going to come or where it's going to come from. When the next time you could talk to a brother, you don't have the convenience to hit up the chat, salute every brother, in the morning. And we don't know what it's like, but we're all about to know it very soon. So this is what we should be preparing our minds for, man. Having our faith tried, bro. All is going to be us, every man in his faith. Every man in his faith. So this walk, bro, we're in it amongst the body. Back 2nd Ezra 7th chapter. That straight gate, that the road is so narrow that only one man at once can go therein.
That's why that examination process is so heavy.
Yeah.
You got to understand your strengths and weaknesses, and what you got to work on right now, so you can address these things before we get into the time of darkness.
Yeah, I got a piece for you. This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 20. And it shall come to pass that in that day that the remnant of Israel and such are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord Yahawah Bahashem Yahushai, the Holy One of Israel, in truth.
So on that day that Esau Edom makes that MOTB made mandatory, we're gonna have to fully detach from the system. We're gonna have to leave this system behind, this beast system. We're gonna have to go off the grid. We're gonna have to be homeless. But ultimately, that's when we're fully gonna have to trust in Yahawah Bashim Shai. Because the Lord is already providing right now, but He's providing through Esau Edom, giving us these jobs. But how much more, when we're off the grid, when we're homeless? That's when the Lord really is gonna show His saving power. When He's really gonna show why He's all powerful. And that's when we're no longer gonna have to rely on this devil, on Esau Edom, for the one of all things. But that's when the 2/3 are going to go down to Egypt and get destroyed, but not the elect. The elect are going to fully rely on Yahweh Shemel Shai.
Yeah, that's why what it say that in Revelation, how we was nourished for a time, you know, a season, you know, and it's a big difference if you you know, when you were a child, you start to spend a lot of time with your mother, but then as you start to age, you start to grow closer to your father, and the change of how he teaches you things, you know, and you start to see that change. It's a more of a strict, it's a more of a solemn car ride, you know, right?
No me.
That time with your father is a bit more. It's a bit different.
Yeah.
It's a bit more solitude, right? Because you learn how to be a man.
Yeah.
Right. We're about to learn how to be men. We're about to witness war. You know, we in the time of rumors of war, but those rumors will turn into actions. You know, we about to see an attack upon the people. All right, with this C. Kirk, you know, the attack on free speech. You know, we gonna fall into the lot of being reprimanded for the things that we've said. You know, being able to sit in that, because a lot of Jake is gonna lose patience just within that. You know,
And even the things we didn't say with Esau's, you know, AI and deepfake. Hey, because did you not know when you go into the history of the Church of Thessalonica, you had some troublemakers, you had some rascals, you know, particularly those from the circumcision that forged letters as if Paul wrote it. And that's why Paul had to set the record straight. 2 Thessalonians, the second chapter, like, listen, that day ain't going to come except to be a falling away first, because you had a lot of, you know, forgers, you know, that was acting as if, you know, Paul was writing that letter saying that YAHWASHI, he already came back. You know, so that's why like Paul had to set the record. No, he ain't gonna come back to the man that sin is revealed, and it'd be a great falling away. So I just say all that to say, because we're gonna be charged with things that we didn't even say. You know, and Esau has technology on his side. He can make it seem like, you know, Elder Apostle Har or any of the apostles or us brothers, we said something or we're at a particular place, you know, have us looking crazy, bro, with fucking underwear on. We're on the top of the roof, you know, just saying some crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know, but come on, man.
That's why you should be in the spirit of prophecy, because
Yeah.
that's very important.
Right.
If you just read about where your fringes on, brother,
Right.
you know, you're gonna miss the whole,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole bus, man.
Yeah.
that's Psalms the 50th chapter where he said, his Lord said, "Thou slanderest thine own brother's son."
Mhm.
You know, or thine own brother. I mean, you know, like to slander somebody is to pretty much put mis and disinformation out about that person, a rumor about them. You know, or he got a sickness. No, don't
Yeah.
they're a plague, right? You even have what they call online viruses. They look at us as a virus.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, so they're trying to put us out, and they going forward that.
Esau even has a term in his political realm. You know, whenever you know you have two, you know, candidates. You know, a writer and a lefter. You know, they going for some type of trying to be elected for some type of position, be mayor or governor or whatever, president. They have a term like whenever they slander each other, it's called mudslinging. It's like professional slandering. It's called mudslinging.
Yeah.
You know, like Trump do it all the time. You see, well, this happened under Biden's watch because he's incompetent, he's stupid.
Yeah.
You know, it's mudslinging. So if he do that to his own people up in his echelons, how much more us that they view as just a scum of the earth, man?
Right.
And that's what Esau's about to do. You know, to throw us in prison, to have a case built against us, because he's trying to put the prophets to death. And some of the prophets will be thrown into prisons, but that's ultimately to test their faith. You know, and some of the prophets will be put to death, some of the believers as well. But ultimately, has to be a martyr for the testimony of Yahawashi. So even if we do have to give our lives up, you know, ultimately the ones who give up their lives will be risen up first with Yahawashi. So, you know, it don't matter if Esau, Edom, you know, push you in that position. Ultimately, you have to be faithful unto death. You know, regardless what this devil has up his sleeve, you know, his AI, his Palantir technology, you know, because this devil's going, you know, he's not going to play fair.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be, he's not going to be fair with the devil.
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask you what you're saying, but I'm not saying
You gotta come up here, bro.
earlier, all the things that he's gonna speak. The word, the word slander goes into what's spoken. The word libel goes into what's written. So he's been doing this throughout time, right?
Yeah.
And we have to understand words are very powerful,
Yeah.
because through his words he makes what? Laws, unrighteous decrees. Isaiah 10:1, right? All those things that he does is to persecute, all right, and keep hiding himself. But we have to understand that the one word that's unstoppable is Yahawashi. He is the word of Yahweh Shemal Shai, right? So he can be stopped, but you just have to have faith that it can be done, right? Not by you, not by your own strength, not by your own means, but only through Yahweh Shemal Shai, the word.
You get that right.
God. This is Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
And that's what's going to happen to some of the members of the elect. They're going to be thrown in prison by the false testimony of Esau, Edom, his lying deception that, we're out here being T words and doing all this crazy stuff by his AIs, what's it called? Deep fakes. Yeah. So that's what Esau Edom's going to throw at us and show at the world, so he can show that, we're T words. But ultimately, some of the members will be caught up in this, and they will be thrown in prison, but it's for a testimony of Yahawashi. And even if you have to be a martyr, ultimately some of the members, they're the elect, they're prophesied to be martyrs. I think it's Revelation chapter 20, where it says, I saw the ones who were beheaded for the testimony of Yahawashi. But ultimately that's what the Lord's will is, even if you have to be thrown in prison. But even if you do have to get thrown in prison, the Lord just might break you out. Like in Acts chapter 12, when Peter went to prison, ultimately an angel of the Lord delivered him. So that might be the case as well. But ultimately, you have to be okay with what the will of Yahweh Shemal Shai is. Regardless if you get thrown into prison or he hides you out, in a good hiding spot.
You can look for little space.
That was it. Yeah. Because the Lord, he warned us. He warned us of these things that we was going to be persecuted, and basically the servant's not greater than his master. This is John chapter 15, and dang it, I lost it. Okay, John chapter 15, verse 20 says, "Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also." You got it, bro.
And that's what's going to happen to the true followers of who everybody ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which his real name is Yahawashi. Just like during his time, he was being persecuted, not just by his own people, but then eventually it led to the Romans persecuting him as well. Because ultimately, with the message he was coming with, with the fall of Rome, he was going to break the temple, and then he was going to restore it, rise it up. But ultimately, the members, the true followers of Yahawashi, they stay faithful unto death. The 12 apostles, they suffered the same fate, but ultimately they chose to remain faithful unto death, even if it meant losing their lives. And that's what a lot of the members of the elect are not a lot, but I would say some of the members of the elect are going to have to go through. They're going to have to go through that persecution and be falsely thrown into prison. Ultimately to be a testimony for Yahawashi. But we can't be wary. We can't fold, because ultimately that's a test from Yahweh Shai.
Hey, like you said, what is it called before this? But like you said, the apostles mentioned that, man. You had a situation of 9, you know what? They even mentioned how that they was pretty much pointed as the cause of, or they try to pretty much blame it on them. And some of them was put in a bad position because of that. See? So that's an example. I want to read this real quick. Now, this is Romans chapter 15, verse 4. "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope."
And ultimately the scriptures are written so we can understand what the past followers of Yahweh Shai had to go through. So we can understand, okay, they went through that, so you're gonna have to go through that as well. Just like the 3 holy children, they when they denied bowing down to the image of Nebuchadnezzar, ultimately what did Nebuchadnezzar do? He said, I'm gonna put y'all to death. Since y'all don't want to follow after my image, then I'm gonna put y'all to death. And that's what the same followers of Yahweh Shai are gonna have to go through during this time. Which that image of Nebuchadnezzar, that golden image today, is gonna be that MOTB, that Michael Peter. And the elect, they're not gonna bow down to the image of the beast, to the MOTB, to the micro C hip. And ultimately, what is Esau even gonna do? He's gonna be like, okay, since you don't want to take this micro C hip, then I'm gonna put you to death. I'm gonna behead you. But we can't be fearful of what Esau even can do, because ultimately the scripture says, don't fear him who could kill the body, but fear him who could kill the soul. Roughly paraphrasing, which is
body and the soul.
which is YAHAWASHI. So a lot of our people, the 2/3, they're gonna fear what Esau Edom could do. They're gonna bow down to this devil because they're afraid of death. They think that death is the end all be all.
What we saw happen in 2020, where you had Israelite leaders openly, tell their congregation, go get that juice. You ain't got to lose your job. Go get the juice. The Lord gave the white man that knowledge, that science, but that was them bowing down to the image, right there, the image of the beast.
Yep.
You see, and they haven't, came out openly and repented for that. Say, hey, Salakia, we were wrong. We shouldn't have told you all to do that, bro. So much blood is on these Israelite, leaders' hands, bro. And they're openly, their congregations are openly leading you, to bow down to this micro C hip. You see, which ultimately the micro C hip, the C hip is just the ceiling. That's just like the stamp of approval that from Esau that, hey, you down with my system. So if you got the juice, bro, if your Israelite leader told you to get the juice, man, hey, they leading you to the slaughter.
That's right. This is James chapter 5, verse 10. Take my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord Yahawah Bahashem Yahushai, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Kind of got you. It says James 5 and 10. Take my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord Yahawah Bahashem Yahushai, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience.
And just like the followers of Yahawashi were being persecuted, that's how we're being persecuted today. Because who was the main ones who were persecuting the followers of Yahawashi? It was Jake. The southern kingdom. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, persecuting the followers because of the message they came with. And Jake is in that same spirit today of persecuting the true prophets of Yahawah Yahushai, because they're in league with the Romans. They're in league with this beast system. They have the 501c3s. So they're like, nah, I don't want y'all to prophesy of doom and gloom, because then that would mean the end of these Jakes who have God in their constellation on his side. So ultimately, a lot of these Jakes, they're not willing to go through that suffering that the true followers of Yahawashi will be going through. That's why these Jakes rather stay in America, stay having the 501c3s and follow after what Esau Edom says, because then they don't have to go through any hell. That's why they don't want to leave this world behind, because then it would lead them to suffering.
I was gonna say, because this place is the only thing that they know. They pretty much in the same spirit that Esau in. With that Psalm 59, I think, either 59 or 49:11. Right, how they think that this place shall continue forever. Right, so they're in the mindset that ultimately America ain't never gonna fall, no matter how bad it gets or whatever. But according to the prophecy, man, it says the exact opposite. The things that's going on in the world right now, all that is tied to the book. They'll let you know it's going to be divisions among people, right? The civil wars, all that is prophesied in the Bible, and this was written thousands of years ago. Right? So, that's all I had to say on that.
I had a precept for you, but when we read that.
Yeah, if I can add real quick, because one of y'all had said it earlier. Jake just don't really think that it can get any better than America. They don't see anything past this place. Like, they don't see anything past, the nightclubs, anything past, 7-Eleven, anything past, a good job. They don't, they really view this as the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
You could do anything you want. Like, you could bust as many nuts as you want. Man, I don't want to go to heaven. You can't have sex up there. You see, because they don't even know where heaven is.
Exactly.
You see? The Lord's going to bring heaven on earth. What is that, Revelation 5 and 10? You got it?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a beautiful point, because I remember Elder Ashwamba, he made a video going into that, because a lot of Jake's perspective on heaven is the Christian's aspect of it, where he's just going to be in there floating with wings and shit. You ain't going to be able to do nothing, you see, essentially. But according to the scriptures, that's not what the kingdom of heaven is going to instill. The kingdom of heaven is going to instill us being complete sovereigns on the planet Earth. You read about that in Matthew 19. Peter was like, what shall receive? The Lord told him, you're going to receive 100-fold for everything you forsake in my name's sake. So we have something to look forward to. We're not looking forward to the aspect of the anti-Messiah that I said, he's going to be in the heaven, going to be flows. No, we're looking forward to the kingdom of heaven according to the scriptures, man. Ruling and sovereign, having all these heathens in subjection, you see? Ruling with a rod of iron, ruling with YAHAWASHI, you see? All those particular things. But I want to pull this out real quick because we read in James 5 has said how those prophets were an example, right? So this is Hebrews chapter 10, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 13. It says, these all died in faith, not having received the promises, which the ones that it mentioned, it doesn't necessarily speak about the disciples, but for us, we could tie them in that same category because the disciples of Yahawashi, they died in faith, you see? And they didn't receive the promise at that time period, which is essentially the kingdom of heaven. They didn't receive it yet. But it says, these all died in faith, having received the promises, having not received the promises, but seeing them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on earth. You see? So going to the aspect of what? How much faith should we have, man, seeing that the prompt, if we here, man. We here. That was in them. They stayed down for YAHAWASHI. You see, so man, we here, man.
So Lord willing, that was edifying. We want to give all praises, honor, and glory to double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone, who we learned this truth from, who we well. Peace, salutations to the 144,000, the rest of the 1/3. Until we say shalom.
Shalom.